on, guys? All right, it's your boy Jay here. Gonna do a little video on one of my favorite books from one of my favorite authors. Very interesting one, and I highly recommend you guys all check him out or look into him if you do not know of him already. The book name is Powernomics: The National Plan to Empower Black America by Dr. Claud Anderson. Mr. Claud Anderson, as you can see here, posted up on the screen. He's a scholar, he's a pure intellect. He's a business owner, he's a visionary, and he incorporated his plans and his visions into empowering Black America, through the books. He wrote a lot of books. He's created his own institution, which is the Harvest Institute that you guys see currently up here on the page. Here's a image of Dr. Claud Anderson. He is getting pretty old, so it's almost that time for him. But we wish him well, and we wish he continues to spread knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment to the community. Well, let's dive into this one, man. It's Powernomics by Dr. Claud Anderson is, it's a book, it's an action plan in a hunting trilogy. In this installment, Mr. Anderson obliterates the myths and illusions of Black progress. He shows how racial monopolies and an endless line of self-proclaimed minorities will make Black Americans a permanent underclass in less than a decade. To stop this pending disaster, readers have a choice: to curve or the placebo. It's amazing, man. So I'm going to go into this and take out a quote, analyze it, break it apart. We go into it, and then we move from there. So on page 5 in Powernomics in chapter 1, we have here's a quote. Racism is a wealth and power-based competitive relationship between Blacks and non-Blacks. The sole purpose of racism is to support and ensure that the white majority and its ethnic subgroups continue to dominate and use Blacks as a means to produce wealth and power. All right, let's go into that one. Most people, as we know it today, believe the term racism is, when, a person from a different race or ethnic group calls you a certain name. They're like, they treat you bad or XYZ just because you're Black or because you're Hispanic or because, you're white and so forth. That's not really, a good definition and terminology of what racism is. In fact, that's not what it is at all. As Mr. Anderson states, racism is based on wealth and power and a competitive relationship between Blacks and non-Blacks, or Blacks and people of other ethnic groups and races. You can, most people, they may be prejudiced against another, race. They may not want to be around you, not want to hang with you, call you certain names. Select group of people are in control of resources and power positions and institutions, and they exploit you and they treat you differently and control your livelihood and your life, your God-given rights in life, based upon them being in control of an institution or being in control of economics, etc. True racism, here we go. True racism exists only when one group holds a disproportionate share of wealth and power over another group, then uses those resources to marginalize, exploit, exclude, and subordinate the weaker group. In America, it is whites who use wealth and power to marginalize, exploit, and subordinate Blacks. Whites can deny Blacks employment, educational opportunities, business resources, a place to live, or the right to vote. Therefore, according to this definition, Black people cannot be racist. No group of Blacks has the power or exclusive control of resources to the degree that they can educationally, politically, economically, and socially exploit and marginalize the white race. Blacks can only react to racism and try to alter the conditions that racism creates. So, with that being said, in America, we have, in every country, we have major institutions. Some of the major institutions are the prison industrial complex, educational institutions, the Department of Justice, local governments and municipalities. You have banks and financial institutions. All of these institutions in which we as Black African American people are not in control of. In fact, the dominant white society is in control of. With that being said, someone has the opportunity to teach me, tell me what I'm being taught in school. I don't have a say in it because I'm not in control of it. You follow? Someone has the opportunity to put me in jail and take away my freedoms because, as a black person, we're not in control of it, but they are. Politically, they get to pick and choose who and who can't vote. All these different institutions, it goes deep, even in the financial institutions. If you want to purchase a home back in the 19th century, the 19th, 20th century, well, 20th century more so, excuse me, sorry. There was a racist policy, for example, called redlining, where banks would literally draw red lines throughout certain neighborhoods and areas and dictate and determine where blacks could buy and purchase a home and where they couldn't. They would keep the affluent, wealthier end neighborhoods off limits to black people, and they will allow them to purchase homes, in lower end, low economical and low income and areas. As we know, home ownership is actually one of the major factors of wealth building and generational wealth building for the average person. You buy a home, you build equity in the long term, throughout the years and years and years. Homes typically tend to increase in value. Now, they can decrease, but it's always the possibility of having some form of return in the long run. Whereas when you rent, you just disperse your money out to an owner of the property without getting anything in return. You have no protections, and you certainly don't have any access to equity when renting. You see these institutions, they use their powers to keep black people and black Americans down in the inferior subordinate positions that you see it as today. And there's long standing reasonings that causes these effects that we're facing and dealing with as we know them today. This was just a little short video, just breaking into the channel, but this is just, again, Dr. Claud Anderson, Powernomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America. I think we're going to do more reads and analysis of this book and reads. I have a lot of quotes and highlights in here that I definitely want to, dive in on. But, just for the sake of this video, we'll keep it at that. Just a little introductory to Powernomics and Mr. Anderson himself. And in this image right here that you're going to see, it's just a black man, free of chains. This is the ultimate goal. We need to be able to, free our minds, liberate our minds, and certainly liberate our pockets, because, if we don't, as Mr. Anderson says, we're going to ultimately end up being a permanent underclass. You have many different ethnic groups coming from all over the world, and it's continuously pushing us down. We already fought blood, sweat, and tears for original policies that we never had benefited from, while others can. Who knows what's next? Let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Jay here. We're out.